administrative positions that we've cut. So we are already within one position of achieving.
So if you're cutting them, but we approve their budget, approve their contracts, how are you gonna cut them if you approve their contract?
We've already had a number of resignations, and we will have additional resignations.
But you haven't had them in these areas.
We've had our entire history department leave. Science we'll have to look at. We've had a math teacher leave, so that's been taken care of. Social studies taken care of, and we've had an English teacher leave. So the only area we haven't had a resignation is science. And if we end up reassigning the middle school science teacher to a lower grade, that can solve that problem. Or she's also certified in PE, and we can reassign her to the PE class down to junior high if we need to. So it's not just looking at the staff at the high school, you also have to look at the staff in middle school. So yes, in terms of the core areas, we already have the needed resignations, as well as the other.
And you may be having teachers teach classes that aren't certified in the area that they're.
We are going to try very, very hard not
There's
to.
probably going to be instances.
I won't say probably. I'm going to say I cannot categorically rule it out. I'm certainly not going to have a science teacher teaching English. There is a possibility that a science teacher, or say an English teacher who's only certified up to 8th grade, may teach a 9th grade section. And we're going to encourage those teachers that they come to that to try to get this certificate, and perhaps we can provide an incentive for that. So I can't categorically rule that out, but I know it is our goal not to have a single classroom taught by an uncertified teacher.
So there could be a science teacher that could have 4 or 5 credits.
That is very possible. I was a teacher and I had 6 credits on a regular basis. It's not impossible.
And they were testing areas.
I taught Algebra 1, I taught Algebra 2, sciences, I taught debate, and I taught basketball.
All the same year.
Yes, ma'am. All the same day.
If there's no further
Okay,
discussion.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, on the, as far as the hallway situation, how are we gonna monitor that? How would we, keep the lunches and all that good stuff?
Lunches.
Come to that.
Yeah, lunches are very, very easy. Obviously, our goal is to put the 4 core 7th and 8th grade classes on this hallway. And that's going to keep the 7th and 8th graders in this hallway most of the day. The bathroom in that hallway will be allocated just to 7th and 8th graders. 7th and 8th will be told you cannot use other bathrooms, and the rest of the school will be told you can't use those, and they'll be enforced through the discipline policy. 7th and 8th grade will come into the cafeteria through those doors, and they will have, and what you do, you take a period, say 4th period. 7th and 8th grade will come to lunch, and the rest of the high school will go to 4th period. At the end of lunch, they'll go back to class. High school's still in 4th period. They're back in class, they're in 4th period. So then you release the high school to come to their lunch while they finish 4th period. So they're not even intermediate during transition period. Lunch is very easy. Now that does leave 6 other transition periods during the day. And during those periods, yes, junior high kids are going to walk past high school kids in the hall sometimes. The high school kid is walking down to the band hall, they're going to be able to walk through that hallway. I'm not going to make them walk outside through the rain. If a junior high kid is walking over to the gym, and we are going to take the current AD's office and turn that into the health room to have another room so that the junior high doesn't have to go up to the current health room to take their health classes. They'll go to the gym there. If they're using a technology class, we'll use Ms. Mikata's lab, which is right there around the corner. So we'll do what we can to minimize the interaction between the two, but you want to eliminate it completely. Some of the teachers on the 7th and 8th grade wing may be teaching a 9th grade class. They certainly will be teaching some high school classes. And those high school students will walk into those classrooms to take those classrooms.
Will you have all the teachers monitoring?
Yes, teachers will be expected to monitor the hallways, as will the principals.
So the 7th and 8th graders will probably be eating lunch like at 10:30.
No.
From what I'm seeing
Why
at the schedule.
Well, then we do it 5th grade. Because Typically, you're talking about a 90-minute period there with an hour offset between the lunches. So if the 7th, 8th grade eat 11, the high school eat 12. If they eat 11:30, high school eat 12:30. We'll have to rework the master schedule, but there will be a 1-hour offset roughly between, actually that's between the start times, there's an hour offset between the start times. But no, they won't eat at 10:30, that's too early. Probably should have said 5th period.
Right. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, as much as I like the idea of saving money, I'm an educator with 27 years, and I don't think it's a wise decision. I currently work at a 7 through 12 campus, and it's not good for the kids, especially our kids here. And I'm a voice for our community. If we had these petitions that said they were for it, I would go for it, even though I'm against it. But this right here tells me that we don't have the community support, so I'm not for it. I think we can cut costs. You have a percentage that you're above, you cut your budget across the board by that percentage. There's ways. We did it in Fremont. They cut the budget because they were over. They did it over time, and TEA will work with you. If you're attempting to make that change, TEA will work with you.
We do not have the luxury of doing it over time, because if we don't find $650,000 to cut out of the budget you have in front of you, we will not be able to operate the district next year. We have to get that just to get back to zero, just to keep the district funded. I already showed you, we've got about $1 million in actual discretionary program, non-personnel spending. And if you start cutting that, you are cutting programs. You're cutting the band program, you're cutting the athletic program. We're gonna have to do some cuts there anyway, but you're obliterating it. You're telling our principals, yes, I know you need $100,000 to run your campus, but you're only gonna get 40. Make it work. You're gonna cut our CTE programs. We'll have to eliminate paying dual credit tuition. And we'll either have to eliminate the dual credit programs or put that cost on the parents. That is certainly an option.
Which we've done before.
Which we'll, and
I
we can
remember
certainly
paying
look at that.
$250
Now,
for
we
my daughter's
have-
classes.
We have $30,000 budgeted for dual credit tuition next year. That still only gets us 5% of the way to where we have to get, cutting it out completely. You can't do it without touching personnel. The only way to touch personnel, you've got two options. We can consolidate or we can riff.
Now, you're talking about to the extreme where doors still being open though.
I'm talking to you.
Next year-
We don't cut $650,000 out of the proposed budget. We will shut the doors down. We will miss payroll in July and August. That kind of scenario. That's what I'm talking about.
So this is our proposed budget, right? What you've
That
given
is
us?
our first draft of the proposed budget, yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of items there that can
Right.
be cut, a lot.
Right, for one, your salary.
No, you-
Because
you
if
put my salary-
I make the motion to give the 105,000 till the year 2018-19, and here you have given yourself a raise.
No, that
I'm seeing
that
it.
was a mistake.
It's a good idea.
Salary should already explain it to you, you can take 9,000 off of that. My salary is what it is by contract through 2020 by board action.
Mhm.
Yes.
Take a pickup.
And you think cutting $10,000 off my contract is gonna solve the $650,000?
No, I know it's not gonna solve. What is, okay, you have dual credit tuition, I see that the 30,000, what's the other 20,000, that TX, VS, and tuition?
Those are tuitions for our students who
Is
take
that the
the virtual school network. We have a number of students, and that's part of the.
And they don't
student
get college credit for that? That's really
No,
wasted
they-
money.
No, ma'am, it's not wasting money. That allows us to offer high school credit and remedial credit classes without hiring an entire teacher.
Which is $400 per student.
Right, it's $400 per student. It's a lot cheaper to have $400 per student than to hire an extra teacher to teach a class with 4 students.
Don't we have Plato that does
Yeah.
credit recovery? Why are we
Yeah.
going virtual?
So they don't get college credit for those?
No, because
Well,
I asked
the
Mrs.
virtual-
Sharma about that.
The virtual school
I
network,
asked
there
her
are
about
some
that.
dual credit offerings through it. They're not through Coastal Bend, but they do offer dual credits through it. They also offer AP courses through it. One of our students this year took AP through it in a course that we couldn't offer.
But they could have taken a dual credit instead and gotten for sure.
But that's a student's decision
Huh?
whether they want AP.
Page 9,
For some students, AP is the right answer. Now, yes, if the board would like to send us back, I can start cutting programs. And we will get maybe a third of the way there.
It's not just programming, that's like
And don't forget, yes, we are, we're gonna have to cut staff. Do not forget that that's just getting to zero. If we're gonna start rebuilding fund balance, then we're looking at 900,000. If you want to start fixing, if you want to start repairing the safety issues, remember, we have almost $200,000 of identified safety issues that need to be fixed in our district. So now you need to get 1.1 billion.
Do we have to replace furniture every year?
There are
Because
certain
I
things.
see a
that-
lot of furniture.
You see maybe 10.
I'm just looking at,
And-
see if there's things that we can reduce to see if,
Yes.
eliminate things.
Things are going to.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I may address the public, sir.
Yes.
Members of the community, please be respectful of this board. Whenever you speak out, you disrespect the entire board. We ask that you pay us the respect that you pay the courtroom that you do this boardroom. At this time, no more interruptions will be tolerated. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, we can certainly, and if I need to go back to the principals and say, take 10% out of your budget, and go back to the director and say, take 10% out of your budget, they can move those things around. This is a good faith estimate of what they truly believe they need to operate the campus. And yes, purchasing furniture is sometimes a bit, student desk break, teacher desk break.
just like uniforms, again, I mean, they bought new uniforms this year
Okay,
for
better.
every sport, and yet you're,
And-
you're asking for 18,000.
We went through the athletic budget in great detail, and we talked about possibly cutting entire programs, and we may need to do that. But again, we can cut band and athletics entirely, completely remove them, and we will save $300,000, which is less than half of what we need.
I know, but,
Yeah, I don't have to worry about what this will be.
well, I think you have that same, moving from 7th and 8th grade over here, you'll have kids.
Either way you go, it's a
Yeah,
hard
it's a tough
decision.
decision.
Yeah, it is.
Either way,
It's a challenge for all.
you know.
Whoever's here now, whoever comes to replace us, it's still a challenge. We're gonna have a challenge regardless. Because the debt, we still have to come, I mean, if anybody has done the best job possible to restructure our monies and our funding, it's Dr. Little in the last 6-8 years that we've been here. So, and I'll say it again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, I mean, it's a tough challenge for all of us to make this decision, and the threats are gonna be threats, right? Whoever sits here at this board 2, 3 years, 4 years from now is gonna have the same challenge. It's not gonna go away.
But even if you combine, I mean, if you bring your 7th and 8th graders over here, is there still a way that we can reduce some of this budget?
Yes, we
You know,
can't get it
Other
all.
than
We can't get it all
staff
through personnel. The target is to get $500,000 to $600,000 through personnel, and then we'll work on getting the rest through program cuts. That is not the final program. That is what was requested by the departments. I'm gonna go through it with a knife, and I'm gonna start slicing things out. And at your next budget meeting, we will have what I consider a very lean budget for all the departments. And I'll probably be able to slice out 100, maybe 150,000 of it. Going beyond that, we're gonna seriously erode the quality of our children's education. We're gonna be taking programs away from them. So, yes, we're gonna get some of it through program cuts, but we're not gonna get even half of it. We won't even get a quarter of it. Because most of our money is in personnel.
Okay, when I looked at your item, for the action item, it said to go to page 96. I went to 96, and I just looked at it, and I see a position that is not budgeted for, and that's a costly item, assistant superintendent.
No, ma'am, that is a reallocation of existing personnel.
Oh, this one?
We are removing 2 positions, 2 administrative positions. We are removing our federal programs director, and we are removing our accountability director.
So that is not gonna be,
I'm answering your
replaced.
question.
Okay.
Those 2 positions are not going to be replaced. The assistant superintendent position, or it may be a director, depending on the title the board is willing to grant. I plan to transfer Mr. Galvan into that position.
this right here?
Mhm.
The band director and the assistant band director, did you leave them out? Because I didn't, I don't see them in there.
There should be,
Director of
we
music.
had everybody in there. Every employee comes in there.
Then,
Well, see, this one, that would be more money.
They may not be separate line items, they may be
Okay.
rolled into one of the functions, but they're in there.
How are
Sorry.
you, how are you saving money if you're putting an assistant superintendent when you're getting rid of it? It seems to me like you're not
I'm
cutting any
removing-
money.
Right now, I have 3 administrators in control, myself and 2 others. And I have 3 principals, and I have a special ed director. So I have a total of 7 positions. After the reorganization, I will have 2 principals, I'll have a special ed director, I'll have myself, I will have 1 person with me, since we got 1 in central office. I went from 7 administrators to 5. That's 2 positions now. And that was our goal, based on what Kathy recommended to us.
will you have 2 counselors or just 1?
We will be doing the elementary a grave disservice if we have no counselor at that position. Now, what we're hoping to do with that position is to hire someone who is also an LPC so they can do double duty as a special ed counselor. We could get by without an elementary middle school counselor, but there are other positions I would prefer to cut first in terms of how it would affect our kids. So yes, if push came to shove, we could do without that position, but it would affect our kids in a negative way.
It seems to me you just consolidated 2 into 1. And then over here, you're gonna have 2 separate, but you're gonna hire an assistant.
No, I'm not gonna hire an assistant. I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're
take
just
the
gonna have-
existing principal and reassign him to central office. So now where I had 3 principals, I now have 2, and where I had 2 central office administrators,